You never really think it'll happen to you. Cheating, betrayal, or even something worse. Those things only happen in movies, right? I was a regular guy, a 36-year-old man with a stable corporate job, a house in the suburbs, and what I thought was a loving wife, Carolyn. For 6 years, I believed we had built something unbreakable. When we met, she was everything I had ever wanted, funny, kind, and breathtakingly beautiful. She made me feel like I had finally broken the cycle of dysfunction I grew up in. See, my parents had a disastrous marriage. My mother was volatile, screaming at my father at all hours, throwing things and making our home feel more like a battlefield than a place of love. My dad stayed, not because he was weak, but because he loved us too much to leave. I promised myself that my marriage would be different. I was careful, I paid attention to red flags, and I waited to make sure Carolyn was truly the right person. For years she was, or so I thought. What happened next shattered everything I believed about love and loyalty. It wasn't just the betrayal that broke me, it was how deep it ran. The lies, the manipulation, the lengths Carolyn went to in order to destroy me after I walked away. This is the story of how I lost everything, and then almost lost my life. The first cracks in our marriage started small. A fight over dishes left in the sink. Tension about how late I worked. Random outbursts over trivial things like the brand of coffee I bought. I brushed it off, thinking all couples go through rough patches. I suggested therapy. She refused. I tried harder. She pulled further away. And then, one day, I got the worst wake-up call imaginable. I was supposed to be away on a business trip, but due to an emergency at work, my team was called back early. I thought it would be romantic, a surprise homecoming. I even stopped by a florist and spent an outrageous $80 on her favorite orchids. I imagined walking in, seeing her eyes light up and maybe, just maybe, rekindling what we had lost. Instead, I walked into a nightmare. The moment I opened our bedroom, door, everything in my life shattered. Carolyn was in bed with another man. Our bed. The one where we had made plans for our future, comforted each other, and built a life together. She wasn't even trying to be discreet. The music was blasting, wine glasses sat in the sink, and she was laughing, completely carefree. I froze. The flowers slipped from my hand. The man scrambled, trying to put on his clothes, looking at me like I was the intruder. And Carolyn? She didn't even look guilty. She just rolled her eyes and sighed. "Why are you even back?" she asked, as if I had just inconvenienced her evening plans. That was it. No apology, no remorse, just pure annoyance that I had caught her in the act. I wanted to hit something, him, her, the wall, but I didn't. Instead, I walked out, leaving behind the ruins of the life I had believed in. I should have known Carolyn wouldn't let me go easily. The divorce should have been simple. She cheated. I wanted out. But instead of making it easy, she did everything in her power to make my life hell. She dragged out proceedings, forgot important documents, and even tried to demand alimony despite the fact that I was the one supporting her financially. And then came the texts. She sent me messages describing, in detail, how her affair partner was so much better than me in every way. His body, his skills in bed, she wrote it all out, as if I had asked for a performance review. Then, almost as quickly, she deleted them, realizing the mistake she had made. Too bad for her. I had screenshots. Thanks to that evidence, my lawyer, Lucas, was able to fight against her alimony demands. The divorce dragged on for months, but eventually I was free, or at least I thought I was. After the mess Carolyn left me in, I wasn't looking for love. I had my fair share of meaningless flings from dating apps, but they only made me feel worse. Then I met Emma. It was purely by chance. We both reached for the same book in a tiny bookstore downtown. She was warm, intelligent, and had a way of making me forget about all the pain Carolyn had left behind. What started as a conversation about science fiction turned into hours of talking, exchanging book recommendations, and eventually, a date. Emma was different. She listened. She cared. She made me feel safe. For the first time in a long time, I was happy again. But happiness, it seemed, was something Carolyn couldn't stand. Carolyn had been stalking us. One evening, Emma and I were walking to our car in a mall parking lot, talking about what movie to watch. Out of nowhere, I heard the engine roar. Before I could react, Carolyn's car came speeding straight at us. Barely managed to yank Emma out of the way, but not fast enough. The car clipped her leg, and I heard the sickening crack of her bone breaking. Carolyn wasn't done. She reversed, ready to hit us again. I grabbed Emma and pulled her between two parked cars just as Carolyn slammed into them, setting off alarms and sending people screaming. She stepped out of the car, her expression eerily calm, like she had just finished a casual errand. "You think you can just replace me?" she spat, her eyes burning with rage. Before she could get any closer, a bystander tackled her to the ground. The police arrived moments later. Carolyn was arrested on the spot. The case was airtight. Security cameras had caught everything, from Carolyn circling the lot, waiting for her chance, to her deliberately aiming for Emma. She was charged with attempted murder. The trial was brutal, but in the end, she was sentenced to 12 years in prison. The divorce, which she had spent months delaying, was finalized within weeks. She got nothing. No house, no alimony, nothing. As for me, I moved in with Emma. We built a new life together, one free of the shadows of my past. Emma's leg healed, and so did my heart. We still go back to that bookstore. We still read sci-fi together, but we never park in that mall parking lot. Carolyn thought she could ruin me. Instead, she set me free. She's behind bars now, trapped in the consequences of her own actions. Meanwhile, I've moved on. Not just from her, but from the pain, the betrayal, and the past that once defined me, Emma and I. We're building something real, something Carolyn could never understand. Love without lies, trust without fear. Looking back, I realize Carolyn was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But without her, I would have never found the best. And that's a trade I'd make every time. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.